Is Immortality a good video game? The reviews certainly seem to say yes. Most of those spend a lot of time praising the acting and writing, which, to be fair, the acting is definitely on the very good side of things. Your enjoyment of the writing and plot is going to vary. Some people are going to vibe with the story, while others are going to be turned off by how up its own butt it can sometimes get about people who create art and how important they are. But you could say similar things about a movie and TV show. What sets games apart is their ability to interact with the story going on around you. So I'll ask again, is Immortality a good video game? Before we really dig into that question, let's talk about the Sam Barlow catalog. Now, love him or hate him, it's impossible to deny that the guy at least knows how to present something in a fashion that begs you to see what's next. Take Her Story. In that game, you're slowly piecing together a story by typing keywords into a police database and following the breadcrumbs of the different FMV cutscenes it presents to you. At the time, it felt revolutionary. An FMV game that truly made you feel like a real detective. I might personally have some issues with the end state of the plot, but I can't say that the story threads didn't keep me up well into the night because I had to know what was next. His next game, Telling Lies, was mostly similar, except this time you're watching the lives of several characters. It was a decent effort to switch up the format just enough, but having to watch scenes play out from two perspectives and trying to go place those scenes back together got a bit complicated. Plus, the actual thing that's happening in that game just isn't as interesting as the plot of Her Story. I wouldn't call it a total flop, but it definitely felt like a downgrade from Barlow's first FMV-centric title. And now we're at Immortality. My apologies to all you #WarGames fans out there. In this game, you're looking through scenes from 3 different unreleased movies that all star the same woman, Marissa Marcel. Your task is to scroll through these videos to try and learn what happened to Marcel. However, this time you're not using keywords. Instead, you can click on objects in a scene to match cut to another scene. At first, this seems like a fun twist on that old formula, but quickly devolves into something that's ruined the game for me. Remember before when I talked about how Her Story lets you follow a breadcrumb by using keywords? You felt like an actual detective solving a mystery, and no one's path to the end was exactly the same. Maybe you searched dog where I searched house, whatever. The point is, we took completely different paths to the endpoint, but we were still in control of the path we took to get there. Immortality's use of match cuts takes that control away from you. The key thing to know about how Immortality handles it is that the scene you jump to is totally random. Say you see a weird looking vase in one scene and want to see if it's in another. You click on it and it takes you to a random vase in a random scene. There's no ability to actually follow clues to their logical ending, opening up new trails in the process. Instead, you're relying entirely on RNG to get you to the next point. On top of this, several scenes only contain a single person or object. For example, one scene is just Marissa's face. Do you know how many scenes you see Marissa's face in? Nearly every single one. You're just going to have to click on her countless times until that one scene you need pops up. Now, I know what you're saying, but Ricky, I don't care about seeing everything. Well, that's great, but seeing everything isn't really the problem. If I want to actually feel like I'm discovering something, I need to have some agency over the process of that thing being discovered. Instead, I'm just playing Where's Waldo with an FMV cutscene, hoping that this click takes me down the path I want to go. In fact, you're probably better off not actually watching any of the scenes and just clicking on random objects until you like everything. That way, you won't waste time trying to decipher a scene that you won't get to see the next step of for several hours. It's such a disappointment because Immortality really does have so many good ideas. I'm going to delve into spoilers for a second, so fair warning. Okay, there's this whole secondary plot that you only uncover when you rewind the footage. Here, you find out that several of the people in these films are actually being possessed by semi-immortal beings. The performances in these alternate scenes are deeply haunting and incredibly well acted. And knowing this meta layer is actually totally necessary to understand everything that's going on. That's awesome. That's good storytelling that pushes the genre forward by introducing gameplay twists that have major impact on the storytelling. Maybe you don't like the story, but you can't say this meta layer is done poorly. Unfortunately, all of that is so tainted by how heavily RNG plays into even finding these that I can't help but feel like the project is, in many ways, a failure of design. Her Story and Telling Lies put the player in control of how they discovered the plot. Immortality just brings you along for the ride. To me, that means Immortality is, in fact, not a very good video game.